Thanks for tuning into Dirty Teeth. I'm on my way to Island Park for the winter fat bike ultra called Fat Pursuit. It's 200K of bliss riding in the Idaho, Montana border region near West Yellowstone. I'm feeling great. I'm ready to get my butt kicked, so let's go have an adventure.
Watch out or she'll chew you up. Holding on to one in his hand. Rising up, back on the streets. Full in love and mysterious. Wanna tell you how I'm feeling. I've never seen so good.
But pre-sorted sucks.
Hurry, boy, it's waiting for you.
I have set my sights on a summer evening where we can watch the sky chase the morning. Us under the stars, you fall into my arms. There's no one else I'd rather be here with. And in the end, I'll be here when I feel your light warming up my skin. And in good time, we'll make our lives together under tie-dye sky. Watch the moon glowing silver.
We're in it. What are we, about 2 miles in, 2.5 miles in? Lots of fog, a little bit of snow. This is fun. It's not too cold. Fermies.
And in the end,
Oh man, just such a blessing to be out here. This is it. I hope I'm saying that 24 hours, but this is fantastic. That light of mine. Sorry to flare the lens like that. So yeah, we're just about 4 miles in. Little pace line going. It's just gorgeous, foggy, gloomy, but in a beautiful, beautiful way. Thanks for joining me.
together under tie-dye sky.
Finally got to turn my light off. Getting ready to climb Two Top now. Just cruising, nice little pace. Slow and steady, slow and steady. But look at this view, are you kidding me? This line of riders just going through this corridor of beautiful trees. Couldn't be better. Climbing up Two Top. Can't get any better than this, right? Woo! Oh man, this could not be any better. Yeah, buddy. All right, update. I feel like we're like maybe a third of the way or halfway up Two Top. This is pretty dang spectacular, wouldn't you say?
Perfect.
Just gonna keep enjoying it while we got it. All right, here we come. Made it to the summit of Two Top. Hard to tell, blustery, windy, but we're here. First major climb out of the way. It's hard to see, but this little sign up here is the summit. I'm not gonna stop too long because it's cold and blustery. As you can see, low vis. You should compare this to last year when it was Bluebird. Anyway, time to get going down. Speaking of last year when it was Bluebird, I figured I'd show you what a difference a year makes. Look how gorgeous it was and with zero wind, but the conditions were soft and slow with a lot of fresh snowfall, so it also took me about 2 hours longer to reach the exact same spot the previous year. Yes, you heard me right. What took me 2.5 hours this year took me almost 4.5 hours last year. P.S. in case I forget to tell you, there's a little Q&A session where I answer a bunch of your interesting questions at the end of the video, so if you stick it out till the end, don't click away. Welcome to Montana. Back in Idaho, slowly and steadily making way to CP1. Yeet! Woo-hoo! What's going on, Billy? Billy!
Alan, were conditions good or great?
Great.
Great.
Best I've ever had the experience of enjoying. Drop bag craziness.
What's the process, Alan?
Huh?
What's the process?
Process filling up some agua fria into my bladder, eating half a block of cheese, and then I don't know what else. Try to get back and start spinning pedal soon. Haven't checked in a while, just been climbing, more climbing. Feeling good though. It's pretty beautiful up here, just white out and quiet and just the crunching of tires. View from the other side, white, peaceful, couldn't ask for more. Got to the top of another big climb, still a couple more to go before we start descending. And that's probably still 4 hours away or so. All good. All right. It is now officially snowing. Woo! Feeling pretty good though. I am at route mile 50 and I've climbed 4,800 feet. So, not too bad. Trucking right along. Man, this is so beautiful. It's just so peaceful when you don't hear anything except the snow touching your clothes and your tires crunching on the ground.
You do not have to be good. Even the best of us have been misunderstood. So get up onto your feet. The sun is shining repentance through the leaf. Its rays will wash you clean. I'm walking slowly,
I'm taking my time. All I like her talking is starting to rhyme. Letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life.
It's hard for you to tell, but this is last light right now, so I'm going into night mode. I'm about to put my lights on, and I just stopped. I've been flying on a crazy fun descent, super cold with all the wind chill, but I'll take it. The course is running great, and yeah, I'll flip it around so you can see where I'm going. I don't want to take my gloves out for too long. Oh, I got off the track. There's this one little skinny track. If you get off it, oh, you're in for trouble. Okay, back on it. All right, I gotta put my hand away before it starts to freeze. Yeah. These are the heroes of CP2. Electric Boogaloo. Saved my bacon. Literally saved my bacon. And let the hike-a-bike ensue. I've been pushing for a good while now. This storm has dropped. I don't know, you can tell by the depth of these boot prints. Easy 4 inches, 6 inches in places. So we have commenced with the pushing. I'll apologize right now. I pretty much stopped filming completely from this point on in the race. It was dark and just dumping snow, and I kept letting more and more air out of the tires and moving slower and slower. There were parts that I walked just because I felt like it, even when it was probably rideable. I was just enjoying the peace and soaking up the time alone. So it would have been pretty boring footage anyway. Once in a while, the full moon popped out, especially around the reservoir, and it was absolutely stunning and invigorating. If you know, you know, and if you don't, sign up for Fat Pursuit next year and you'll find out. All right, we made it. Done and dusted. Here comes the finish line. All that's left is to boil some water for the water boil checkpoint, and we're done skis. Wasabi and rice. What time does Hey, what time does the 60K start? I'm double booked, dude. I'm double booked. Let's go.
I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life.
All right, now for some Q&A. I'm stoked to be rocking this fresh tie-dye hoodie and sipping from my official finisher's pint glass. All right, let's see here. What do you do on the bike? Do you listen to music, podcasts, or just listen to the sound of your tires on the snow? As you just saw, I definitely love the solitude and quiet and enjoying my natural surroundings most of the time, but I do have a few podcasts loaded on my phone and music playlists at the ready in case the sleep monster starts creeping in or I need a little pick-me-up. At Fat Pursuit, I did listen to music during the wee hours of the night and through the morning, and it definitely helped, but for the most part, I just reveled in the beauty around me. During the race, I saw a few 200K riders with stickers on their cheeks and nose. What are they? Do you use them? That is frost tape. It's also called leukotape or kinesiology tape, and it's used to protect your cheeks and nose from the cold and wind. It's pretty popular with downhill skiers, and it can definitely help keep you from getting frostnip. I do keep a few pre-cut pieces in my kit just in case, and I have used it in the past, but most of the time I prefer to cover my cheeks and nose with a cut down buff or a nose hat or something similar because it's easier to pull up and down or take on and off as the temps change. Don't suppose you'd be open to sharing your Excel gear list. Actually, I'm in the process of making a few of my planning spreadsheets for various events available to both YouTube and Patreon members, and that'll be coming down the pipeline shortly. So if you're a member on either platform, I'll be sending out a members only post with links and all that. Do you have ride stats posted anywhere? Yes, my ride is on Strava and official results are posted as well. I'll put links to those in the description. I did not use a power meter, so whatever Strava estimated for that is fake news, but I did wear a heart rate strap, so that, as well as the rest of the info, should be pretty accurate. What stove did you use for the water boil test? I brought a little Pocket Rocket 2 from MSR. It's a canister stove. The water boil check has always been at random, undisclosed spots along the route, but this year Jay decided to put it just before the finish line, and he warned us about this at the racers meeting. I knew the temps would probably be around 10 degrees, so I put the canister in my pocket with a couple hand warmers about an hour before the finish line, and it boiled my 8 ounces of water fast and without any drama. Did you carry any more water than what was in your hydration pack? Nope, I didn't. I had a 3-liter bladder and I filled it at checkpoints, and I was ready to melt snow if I needed to, but the course conditions were fast enough this year that I had plenty the whole way. How much did you drink and did you take electrolytes? I probably drank between 5 to 6 liters total for the whole race, and yes, I took electrolytes. In my previous video, I discussed what I took for nutrition, and part of that was tailwind powder. I put this in my water to get some extra calories and sodium. I also ate a lot of salty, crushed up potato chips and Fritos. Did you sleep, and if so, what are your tips for bivvying for the night? What goes in the sleeping bag versus outside, and why? Nope, I didn't sleep, but I do have a bunch of tips and hacks for winter camping and bivvying, and I'm gonna make a detailed video one of these days. And FYI, I did share a bunch of those tips with the person who asked me this question. I didn't just leave them high and dry. When you start to feel sleep deprivation creep in, what motivates you to keep going? At what point do you give into it? The thought of a warm shower and a comfy bed are pretty strong motivators to keep moving forward. But in a winter ultra like Fat Pursuit, trail conditions and the weather tend to dictate most of my choices. This year I knew I was traveling fast enough to easily finish under 24 hours without killing myself, and I also knew it was just going to keep snowing and the conditions were going to get sloppier every hour, so I opted to push through the night and just get her done. But if I was moving slower and feeling more depleted, I definitely would have listened to my body and stopped and slept for a few hours. I'm curious to hear how moisture management went with your layering system. It went great. I've used my layering system numerous times and I know what to expect from it and my body. So knowing what I could get away with and when I could sweat more and when I should decrease my effort as I was getting closer to checkpoints or getting ready to stop helped me to dry out ahead of time. So all in all, I was pretty warm and dry. I was never uncomfortably cold or worried at any point during the race. And if you're curious, I have numerous deep dive videos for keeping various body parts warm all year round, like your core and your legs and your arms and your hands and your feet. I'll link to that playlist down below. Which body part do you feel suffers the most from riding in such frozen conditions? What are you doing to mitigate it? My feet and toes are always the toughest part of my body to keep warm, but my boot system and my socks and vapor barriers is pretty dialed, so my feet were warm and toasty the whole race. And like I just mentioned, I have a video devoted to tips and practices for keeping your feet warm, so you can check that out. Which boots did you wind up using? If you watched my gear breakdown for Fat Pursuit, you'll know I took a pair of 45 North Wolf hammers and the heavier, more expedition-oriented Wolfgars with me, and I made a game time decision to go with the lighter Wolf hammers. Like I said, my feet were toasty the whole time with a liner sock, warm alpaca sock, and a vapor barrier sandwich. And if you're curious, the temps according to my Garmin were a high of 18 and a low of -4 for just a short time when I was going around the reservoir, and the average temps for the race were 11 for the whole ride. Definitely nothing as extreme as the -30 and -40 degrees that we saw last year, so it was super stoked. Kind of felt like I was riding in the desert. Okay, what brand are your spare yellow glasses? I knew it was going to be overcast for the whole race, so I just wore my Daz Optic Sendies with yellow lenses the whole time. How's JP doing? Great question. He was his normal self. His spirits are high. Both him and Tracy and all the volunteers knocked it out the park this year. The event was so well organized and dialed in. I guess it's a good time to mention he's been using his years of knowledge and experience to start a line of bikepacking bags called Ride Forward Designs. Yeah, it's a quick sneak peek of a couple of the rack bags he's making. I'm gonna be doing a long-term review of these really soon, but I just wanted to throw him a shout. You can go to jpeterberry.com if you want to learn more about them, and I think he's got them up for sale already. Yeah, spoiler alert, I think you're gonna want some. Does the harsh cold make you want to scratch, or does it keep you moving to stay warm? Great question. For me, the harsh cold is doable with the right systems in place, but it does definitely entice you to stay moving, and you're constantly focusing on self-care and staying tuned in with your body at all times. Slow and crummy conditions tend to get on my nerves more than weather, but really it's all mental and it depends on what your goals are. So if you're driven to finish, you can and you will in most cases, regardless of the weather. What motivates you to do this event? How do you keep your nose warm? I think I answered that part about keeping my nose warm, but I do this event because of the challenge, to revel in the beauty and all the great friends, old and new, that I get to see and have fellowship with. Pretty much the same reasons I have for tackling any bikepacking race. I'm assuming flats and your overall comments about clipless versus flat pedals. I prefer clipless whenever possible, although sometimes I use flip-flop pedals on races like this in case my cleats get clogged with snow, but I didn't this time around because I thought it was going to be pretty firm and I wouldn't hike too much. Turns out I was right and I didn't need them, so it was a good call. I really like having my feet locked into the same place on the pedals, and the first time I did Fat Pursuit, I used flats and I had a lot of knee pain, but that's just me. I'm not going to tell anyone else what to do. Okay, here's a multi-parter. How about 3 tips for a first-timer next year, training, nutrition, and or gear? Okay, number 1, train with your fat bike fully loaded and spend time pushing it up hills. For nutrition, test out different stuff while you're training and throw it in the freezer if you're not sure how it'll handle the cold temps. And make sure you have plenty of stuff high in fat, not just sugary food. For me this year, cheese and crushed up barbecue chips and sesame sticks were some of my favorites. As far as the gear goes, use it. Bivvy in the snow if you can, practice with your stove, and feel comfy and confident with all your clothing systems. Consciously make this part of your training because it's just as important as fitness, if not more so, in a deep winter environment. Yeah, that's about it. Let's see, next part of the question. Also, to what extent are you using checkpoints and aid stations? Are you stopping and eating or just grabbing essentials and carrying on? I use the checkpoints to get some quality calories in my system on the spot. I'll refill my water and then I'll replenish my food stash with my drop bags. It's also nice to chat with the volunteers and thank them for all the hard work they're doing. Then you can hear some stories from other riders and trail conditions, stuff like that. So I'm not usually in a big hurry, but the fast folks definitely aren't dilly-dallying. They get in and they get out, but I'm not fast. CP1 serves up fried peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that are so good. Thank you, Tyler and Billy. And at CP2, Nikki and Jamie served me pancakes. They were covered in Nutella and syrup, and I had a couple super juicy pieces of bacon. Yeah, also a lifesaver at that point in the race. And for the last question, training. How many hours a week did you spend on your bike in the months leading up to Fat Pursuit? Overall, I was averaging about 10 hours a week on the bike leading up. Some weeks were a little more, some were less. And it was a mix of indoor training, interval work, and mostly zone 2 endurance stuff outside. I was following a plan, so my riding was efficient, but I also made sure to keep it fun. And what else? As the race got closer, my longest rides were 2 back-to-back 6 to 7 hour shakedown rides where I rode with a fully loaded heavy bike. And I did this a bunch actually, so I was always carrying a full hydration pack with me, and even on my trainer rides, I'd put a full hydration pack on just so my body would be used to the extra weight and the strain of the pack. Okie dokie, I guess that's it for now. If you have any follow-up questions and comments, please leave them down below. I'll do my best to read and respond to everything.
As you can tell, done and dusted. That's a wrap. This adventure is over. Thanks for hanging out to the end. We'll catch you on the next one. Until then, ride bikes, give back, pay it forward.